All right, we're recording. Audio signal looks like it's coming in good. Check, check, good. All right, wanted to do a video this month on one of the premium topics. I've got at least a dozen here from when I was asking you guys a few weeks back. Anything from does money make you happy? I'll probably do that one publicly on the channel. Thomas requested that one. Curtis asked about wealth principles. We're doing a hangout next week. Or is it this week? I've got it on my calendar anyway. And everything in between. So Mike posted this suggestion, Mike Dembroga. He said, strategies for being focused on surrounding yourself with high-value men in your social circle. I think a lot of you guys have asked about this throughout time, being in the men's community, on the hangouts, during book club stuff. So this is a recurring theme. I think this is a good topic. So strategies for being focused on surrounding yourself with high-value men in your social circle. Something I want to bring up the next monthly hangout for feedback. I'm finding a total lack of quality guys to be around, but at the same time, I recognize that I'm in a state of constant judgment with the people around me. What is the male term for the equivalent of basic bitch, basic chump? Yeah, probably, basic is kind of universal, I think, Mike. So I'm just going to kind of freestyle this one and, just kind of share some of my own thoughts and experiences and leave it open for discussion and comments below. So I'll put it on the video tab of the website, and then I'll also post it to the Facebook community, which is where all the discussions is anyway, and then we'll kind of discuss it in the comments there. So I guess ever since I kind of got involved in the world of entrepreneurship, with my debt business, and I started to get recognized for growth. And with the growth came a lot of unintended consequences, I think. When you grow a very fast-growing business, you get people's attention, media's attention, you get the attention of the public, you get obviously attention of critics. And I started to go to these conferences for business growth, I guess is the way to put it. There was a magazine in Canada, or it's still around. Ian Portsmouth is the editor, cool guy. But he put out this list called the Profit 50, then the Profit 100, and the Profit 500. So it's kind of evolved over the last 15 years since I got involved in like 2008. And you start to realize when you go to these conferences, there's a lot of really smart guys in rooms that have grown really significant businesses. So they're putting a dent in the universe. And I found them to be of high value. I found that social circle was quite interesting, although I didn't share similar beliefs with a lot of them. And I'll explain why in a moment. So you're finding a total lack of quality guys to be around. I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you're in the business community as well, Mike. So that's a good start, obviously. Getting around guys that are like-minded, that get you. And when I say get you, like really get you. I think if you're a business owner, you definitely need to be involved in a business community. So if there's, guys in the basic tier that run businesses, you're probably in the wrong tier. I mean, if you're looking to up your game, up your business, talk about things that you're trying to solve in your business, for example, you want to surround yourself with guys that are in the same sort of group or network, or playing the same sort of sport, if you will. I mean, if you're going to play rugby, you want to be around other great rugby players, sort of thing, right? So you've got to find your tribe, and I think the the basic community that I've created, that's been running for the last year and a half now, I think it's been. As it's grown and it's evolved, we've got everything in there, from men that are washing dishes to guys that are running multi-million-dollar companies. It's part of the reason why I've created the higher level tier. So you want to put yourself in the right room. If you find yourself in a position where, so here's one of the first tips I can give you. If you find yourself in a position where you're the smartest guy in the room, it generally means you're in the wrong room. You don't want to leave yourself in that environment for too long. That's actually a lesson that I learned from, believe it or not, when I was watching, when I was watching a biography after I got laid off. It was around 2003, and for about 60 to 90 days, I did pretty much sweet fuck all, trying to figure out what I was going to do and whether I was going to go back and work in another corporation or start up my own business. And I was watching his biography on Ron Jeremy, believe it or not. And he was talking about how he deliberately puts himself in rooms where he's never the smartest guy in the room. And another friend of mine many years later echoed that same sentiment. I don't know if he got it from that biography or somewhere else, but he runs high-level events. His name's Jason Gaynard. It's really cool setup that he does. So I think if you want to up your game and not be around the basic bitch, basic chump type, you have to be intentional about putting yourself in the right room. And that means you're going to offend some people. Honestly, I've offended enough people. I've had an ex-girlfriend that I offended several times because she wanted to put me in rooms or put me and my daughter in rooms where these people are just not bright and they were just gossipy, and they would bring you down, or you'd watch them browbeat the shit out of their husbands, or treat them like a plow horse. So when it comes to being intentional, I do it on all levels. And I'll be honest with you, full transparency, and I talked about this in a post many weeks ago because somebody was asking about family. I put my mom in timeout December of last year. And what I mean by timeout is I just choose not to be around her because the way that she behaves, and I don't want that impression left on my daughter. I certainly don't want to be around it myself, but she's kind of abusive to my dad, and he puts up with it. So I just decide unilaterally not to put myself in those rooms, not to expose my daughter to it, and that's just the way that it is. And that's going to cause some conflict. There's always going to be questions raised as to why you've changed, what's the matter with you, why can't you accept people for the way they are? But you've got to be, anybody that's leveled themselves up, you've got to be strong and decisive, and you've got to continue on that path. And there will be some friends that you're going to lose along the way. There's probably going to be some family members, and while blood is thicker than water, that you're probably going to put in a timeout, and they may or may not ever come around. I don't know if I'm ever going to come around again to having a close relationship with my mom just because of her behavior, but I just choose to be that much more intentional. And you've got to be decisive. You've got to be strong. You've got to be able to say no to many people that you're used to being in your life for a long period of time. You know who they are. You definitely know who they are. I mean, there's no question that we all know who these people are. We know because when we're around them, they drain our batteries. We feel weak. We feel exhausted. We feel like, we've wasted time or energy in that event, party, whatever the hell it is. Whereas opposed to if you're around a good group of people and you have a good interaction, a good meeting, a good mastermind dinner, a good event, you feel charged, you feel good after it. It's one of the things that I'm trying to build into the private community that I'm running. I'm aware that this is important to men. I'm aware that it helps us level up and become better versions of ourselves. It's a lesson that there's some younger guys, there's some less seasoned men in the community watching this right now that might be doing more of the basic sort of jobs, needs to learn for themselves to take ownership and level up in their lives. It's a cold hard truth. It's probably uncomfortable. I know it's going to rub a handful of people the wrong way when they watch this, but that's the reality of the matter. There's a reason why people that are highly successful, I mean, take Steve Jobs, as a very good example. I've not read his biography, but I've met enough people that have either worked with him or knew him personally. So, that's another interesting, component of this. Through a lot of these entrepreneur groups and events that I've been to, I've met guys like Robert Kiyosaki, Tim Ferriss, who else? James Altucher. I could go on and on down the list, but there's a whole bunch of these mostly significant influencers that I've been around, and I've learned a lot of things from them. I've also learned there's a lot of them that it's kind of like you should never meet your hero sort of thing. Like you think that they have some superpowers, some skill, but when you meet them up front and personal, they don't necessarily look or feel like the kind of guy that you want to hang around with or invite into your tribe when the shit hits the fan or the zombie apocalypse comes sort of thing. So that's another one of the tests, litmus tests, if you will, is this somebody that I'd want in my tribe, really? And if they're not on your, in your inner circle, you probably want to spend a lot less time with them. So we're doing that book review with Jack Donovan in June. I got the date scheduled for the event. That'll be a really good discussion point to have with him because he's very clear about who he lets in his inner circle and who's outside of that. And his tribe of brothers, I can't remember what he calls it. I think it's wolves, like the Wolves of Vineland or something like that. Or he may have renamed it. I think he might have left Paul Wagner's brotherhood. But we'll ask him about that when we do the broadcast. But you definitely want to surround yourself with a tribe of like-minded men that you would be able to rely on if the shit hits a fan. And while we're in a larger kind of demographic, like we're in a global sort of group right now. Not to say that we may not create local chapters in the future. Maybe we'll buy some land and build a fucking tribe like Jack Donovan did. I'm really interested to hear how he built it and how he decides who's in and who's not allowed in, sort of thing, with that sort of environment. But yeah, like as it grows, I think local community meetups are going to be more and more important, significant. It reminds me, and it continues to remind me and nudge me to do some kind of retreat-based event for you guys. I've talked to some people individually in the community about doing retreat-based events for you guys so we can all get together in a common place and a common time, do a learning event. Maybe it's a speaking event, maybe it's a mastermind, maybe it's a social, maybe it's a combination of all of those things. I think it should be a combination of all those things, if I'm being honest, because we're already in a tribe of like-minded, red-pilled men that for the most part agree on certain belief systems. We all agree that we're trying to become better versions of ourselves. We all agree on many principles, although we may disagree on other things like political belief systems or religious belief systems. I think that at the end of the day, if you have a baseline agreement on how you want to live your life and how you want to become a better version of yourself, and you're demonstrating that you're doing the work, you're not bitching about stuff, you're actually doing the work, that's significant. So, to kind of go back to Mike's original, I just want to reread it out again because I tend to kind of go off on a bit of a tangent when I do these unscripted. Strategies for being focused on surrounding yourself with high-value people in your social circle. Be intentional about who's in your social circle, first of all. Only let in greatness. Make sure you don't spend time with people that aren't going to big you up or improve your average. They always say you're always the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you've ever seen Dan Pena on an interview, he often says something like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So towards the end, Mike says, what's the male term equivalent of basic bitch, basic chump? If you're hanging around basic chumps, or if basic chumps are spending time around you, you just have to cut them out. You got to start returning the phone calls. You got to stop returning the texts. You got to stop going to events that may not serve you or you may not get any value out of. I got a text yesterday from a friend of mine that I really like. He's an entrepreneur. He lives downtown Toronto. He invited me to a mastermind dinner. Only I know that he still travels in a circle of other business owners who are great at what they do. I mean, there's no doubt. But one of the big struggles that I have with certain business owners is, for some reason, in these event-based type of environments and communities, a lot of entrepreneurs that are highly successful tend to also bring a lot of values that I don't agree with, like feminism, like socialist policies. Like there's a guy that I know, this guy that invited me to the dinner in Toronto in a few weeks, he hangs around this guy that's always banging on about universal basic income. And I don't agree with universal basic income. And I don't know if that's a social belief or a political belief, but I think people need to do the work. And it's hard, and that's the reason why they call it work. If you give away too much free shit, then it just doesn't facilitate greatness. I don't believe anyway. But this guy will probably be at the dinner. So I'm kind of like, I got to find out, is he going to be there or not? Because I don't want to put myself in a room. So you've just got to do the work, Mike. You've got to take a close look at, the environment and the places that you're going to go, and be intentional about being around those right people, having the right types of conversations when you're around those people, and quickly, and I'm obviously going to get called out for this perhaps, but obviously making quick judgment calls for people that don't fill your cup. Not being a dick about it, not being an asshole, but just making quick judgment calls about, okay, that's somebody I know that I don't want when the shit hits the fan in my tribe. They're not allowed in my inner circle, sort of thing. So to me, that's what it boils down to. I mean, it's virtually the same thing as when you're vetting women for long-term relationships. You should be vetting your circle of influence, your community, your friends. And we've seen some people in our men's community come and go. There's been a couple of guys that I've had to remove from the community because of either their beliefs completely misaligned, or they're causing conflict or drama within the community. I've left communities. I mean, publicly, you guys have seen me left, conference events because of, conflicts in my beliefs with them. Just like, you've just got to be decisive, and it's not always comfortable. It's in fact a very uncomfortable thing. If I kind of reflect back to, the leaving of the, the 21 convention and the Anthony thing, you're not going to feel comfortable walking away from a tribe of people that you thought were like-minded, that you then realize later on down the road that there's conflicts. So within that discomfort comes a growth. That's the key thing. Within that discomfort comes a growth. You've got to prune to grow. Whenever you do any gardening around roses and stuff, you've got to prune those things to let the buggers grow. And that's part of life, is pruning people out of your life so that you can grow and become a better version of yourself. So those are the strategies that I would ask you to consider. This has been actually pretty good. It's been about a 15-minute video. I know I might have rambled a little bit, but I am working on improving the dynamic and the depth of the community. I'm fully committed to that. I want you guys to know that. I know that there's people that will come and go in this community over time. So I'm looking at strategies to improve the dynamic, the bond. It's probably going to evolve and change over time. There might be local chapters, not sure. I think there's definitely got to be some kind of retreat component involved for everybody, where we have an opportunity to go to a location, learn, have fun, and grow. So look for that in the future. So I'll wrap it up on that note. Thanks for the topic, Mike. This will be premium only. I'll leave it on the website and on the Facebook page. Comment below, guys. Engage in the conversation. Let me know what you think. See you guys later. Peace.